I leaned in close enough to smell his bourbon and said it like a dare. Pretend you're mine tonight. Do you know the feeling when a single sentence changes the air around you, like the room holds its breath and waits to see what you'll do next? Here's the truth that will mess with you. I wasn't trying to save a billionaire. I was trying to save myself from disappearing in a crowd built for two. It was a summer wedding in Atlanta, the kind that makes photographers believe in heaven. Vineyard at golden hour, white chairs in neat rows, fairy lights tangled in the trees like tiny constellations that forgot to leave. The string quartet did their delicate thing, glasses clinked and couples posed with their better halves like they were born matched. I was a plus one whose plus wandered off, so I floated table to table with a polite smile and that old ache in my chest. The one from every school dance where I stood on the edge waiting for a slow song that never called my name. You know what I mean. He sat alone at table 12, navy tux that fit, like it had somewhere important to be watched, that probably cost more than my car jaw set, like he was holding back a whole conversation. Damon Cross. If you live in this city, the name is a headline. CEO of Cross Tech Young, brilliant, cold, cursed, choose your rumor. Behind me, 3 bridesmaids half drunk on champagne whispered loud enough to count as public record. Isn't that Damon the billionaire? Didn't his ex leave him for his business partner, all work no heart? It landed mean like laughter with knives in it. Something in me bristled. The foster kid who hates a pack mentality, the business owner who hears the word no like a challenge. My feet moved before my brain finished voting. I walked straight to him and let the lie lift me. There you are, I said. Easy, like this was our bit. He looked up, startled eyes, tired, then curious, then relieved. I bent down so the bridesmaids had a show, and I whispered, "Pretend you're mine tonight." He didn't ask for a reason. He just nodded once, the kind of yes you feel more than hear. We danced because the quartet shifted to a slow one, and our pretend needed legs. We built a story as we moved. Coffee shop meet cute latte on his suit, me insisting on dry cleaning him, asking for my number 3 months together, so it felt real but still new. While we were making things up, the real slipped out. He liked old black and white films, because the quiet made space to breathe. He learned to cook from his grandma, and still measures spices with love, not spoons. He works 16 hours, because silence in the penthouse is louder than traffic. I told him I design events because it's the only way I know to build a world where people feel something on purpose, that I grew up in foster care, and taught myself to never wait for rescue, that I run Blake Designs on grit lists, and the belief that a room can heal a person if you light it right. He listened. Not like a CEO absorbing bullet points, like a man filing away a secret he didn't want to break. Mark the groom showed up with his new wife, cheeks bright with happiness, and they looked at us like a miracle they hadn't ordered. Damon laughing, me beaming, hands resting exactly where a real couple forgets to move them. We took a photo in the booth. My grin a little reckless, his smile surprised, and in that square of light, I accidentally captured the thing we were pretending. But midnight has opinions. Out by the cars, I slid his jacket from my shoulders and held it out like a truce. "Thank you for tonight," I said. He nodded like a man tasting a word he might want to keep. Then I left, window down, radio low, the city warm around me, while my head replayed a voice that had said my name like it mattered. 2 weeks later, I walked into the Crosstech boardroom with a portfolio that felt heavier than paper. We were pitching the Cross Gala, the biggest charitable event of the year, and my team had been up past midnight for nights in a row. I had 3 concepts and 1 chance. The door opened. Damon. The fake boyfriend from a vineyard, except here he was the man on magazine covers, posture measured, tie clean like a decision. Mr. Cross, the PR director, said, "This is the lead from Blake Designs." He offered his hand across polished wood like we'd never met. "Ms. Blake," he said, voice smooth, eyes unreadable to anyone who didn't know what they held. I presented bridges, not just a look, a thesis. Technology connecting the parts of a city that never meet, physical bridges glowing in blue and silver, interactive stations, where donors could see what access does to a kid's life, light that moves like water to remind us progress should flow. The room leaned in. Damon asked questions that aimed at the bones. Load, logistics, timing, story. When I finished, he said, "I love the bridge concept. It speaks to who we are," and the vote was a cascade after that. "We'll need to work closely," I said. "Professional, steady." "We will," he said. Neutral mouth, not quite neutral eyes. We kept it clean. Conference calls, vendor meetings, mood boards spread across his desk, edited in public, argued in private about light, temperature, and donor flow like people who both care too much. In the glass elevator, our reflections stood side by side like something expensive in a window. We didn't touch. I went home at night and sketched until my fingers cramped. He stayed until the janitors made jokes about rent. We did the thing grown-ups do when consequences are real. We pretended we were pretending. Wait, here's where the story turns. I was in the ballroom with a tape measure on my wrist when my landlord called. "There's been a fire." By the time I reached my small warehouse, smoke webbed the roof, water ran in strange little rivers under the roll-up door, and the air tasted like endings. When they let me in, I walked through another version of my heart. Centerpiece bridges, warped custom lighthousings, ruined fabric, and panels soaked the stage backdrop streaked with ash. 3 weeks to go. No space, no materials, no time. I sat on a curb and tried not to cry because tears do nothing for timelines, but grief is a liquid that finds its cracks. I stared at my phone at Damon's contact like a red button. Do you call a billionaire and confess you can't deliver? Do you fall on your sword and hope the client respects the cut? Do you hide? My phone rang first. "Zariah," he said. "Not Ms. Blake, not a title in sight. Are you safe?" I said I was, and told him what burned. "Stay there," he said. "I'm coming to get you." "You don't have to." I started. "I'm already in the car," he said, and something in me sat up and believed him. He didn't arrive with drama. He pulled up, parked crooked, and sat down beside me on the curb in a suit the color of expensive mistakes. We didn't talk for a minute. He handed me a bottle of water like it was the only thing that had ever mattered. Then we stood, and he did what people with power should do when they care. He made calls. Warehouse space on the west side. Cleared. Additional hands. Approved. Suppliers. Expedited no faster than that. Legal. We're good. He took me to his place not to impress me, to give me a table where plans could live. "You're not alone," he said. And for someone who spent a childhood building her own scaffolding, that sentence felt like engineering. "Stick around, because what happened next will blow your mind." We rebuilt a 6-week plan in 14 days. Crosstech lent a warehouse and nobody blinked when they found their CEO painting at midnight in a shirt that used to be white. He brought coffee for my crew, knew their names by day 3, made them laugh by day 5. He asked, "How do we make this sing?" not, "How do we make this cheaper?" The man people called cold sat on a concrete floor with a heat gun coaxing a stubborn curve into a panel, like patience was his second language. At 2 a.m., I caught him under a half-finished arch, head tilted back like he'd stumbled into the kind of wonder you can't schedule. "Yeah, that happened." One night we were alone finishing a mock-up blue paint on his cheek sawdust in my hair. "Thank you," I said, and it meant more than the project. He looked at me like a question and stepped forward once. We could have crossed it, the line between professional and not, but I shook my head, because I know how gossip eats women first. He backed up, palms raised, smile soft. After the gala, he said, "Not a promise, not a threat, just a sentence we both decided to believe in." Gala night arrived, and the ballroom was a city you could walk through. Bridges, glowing stations alive with kids' stories, water made of light, underfoot the ceiling, a sky that refused to be indifferent. People walked in quieter than they expected to be. It happens when design tells the truth. Damon found me by the entrance in a tux that didn't make him more powerful, just more precise. "Miss Blake," he said for the crowd. "Mr. Cross," I said back, and the look between us said the rest. He spoke on stage about technology and access, and the kid he used to be before the headlines. Voice steady hands, quiet, zero theater. Donations ticked up on screens like a heartbeat finding its pace. We danced one slow song because he asked, and I trusted him not to turn me into a spectacle. For those minutes it felt like the vineyard again. Simple, kind, safe. Then she arrived. Red dress, perfect hair, the kind of smile that doubles as a performance review. Vanessa. The ex, the betrayal, the headlines nobody forgets. Damon introduced us like a gentleman trying to put out a fire with water that won't cooperate. "Lovely to meet you," I said with a professional nod, and slipped away because dessert does not plate itself. She found me near the terrace. Of course she did. Women like that can smell your uncertainty from 3 rooms away. "Friendly warning," she said, and it sounded like a threat wrapped in pearls. Men like Damon always come back to women like me. We speak their language. You're temporary." She let it hang, then added she could make one call and close doors I hadn't opened yet. It landed on every old bruise I own. Foster kid outsider self-made woman the way gatekeepers say no and call it standards. Glass broke behind us. We turned. Damon stood there, a shattered flute at his feet, face pale with anger, voice very quiet. "That's enough, Vanessa." She tried to smile it off. "Damon, darling, I heard what you were saying," he cut in. "Cruel and unacceptable. There is no our world after what you did." People stared. Gossip perked up. My heart pounded for a different reason. I hate being the center of the story when the story is a mess. I walked outside into the cool and let the night take some heat off my cheeks. He followed. "I'm sorry," he said, immediate honest. "None of what she said is true." "Some of it will feel true to people who want it," I said. "Your circles, your boardrooms, your parties. They have rules I didn't write, and being with you would mean I pay for every rule I break." He took my hands like a man steadying a ladder. "Then let's pay it together," he said. "I'm not asking for a headline. I'm asking for a chance. A real one in the open after tonight. Dinner. A walk. A life we choose on purpose." I said yes, not to a forever, to starting where we stood. 2 months were soft and solid at the same time. We did simple things. Tacos on the hood of his car, early morning walks when the city is just waking up, movies in black and white. Because he wasn't kidding. Weekends that were more about time than money. We fought sometimes. I'm stubborn about control because control kept me alive. He's stubborn about responsibility because he carries a whole company on his back. We learned to apologize in full sentences. He stood beside me at parties where people praised me like a novelty, refreshing, so different from Damon's usual type. He said, "She's not refreshing, she's accomplished," and the room resorted itself. In New York, the initiative we funded at the gala expanded nationwide. He spoke at the launch like a man who believes something matters more than his ego. They asked me to consult on the design, and I watched 1,000 strangers walk through a space that told them kids deserve a shot. Snow fell one night as we crossed 7th Avenue, dusting my curls white. He stopped under a streetlight and said it straight. "I love you, Zariah. You know the moment when fear and relief arrive together. That." I told him I loved him too because I did, because pretending your heart is safe or closed is a lie that gets heavy. Vanessa tried again once outside a restaurant. "Fairy tale," she smirked. "Men like that get bored." 2 months earlier, I might have taken that home and let it sink me. That day I smiled, said, maybe what bored him was being with someone who didn't know him and watched it hit. Confidence doesn't come with a marching band. It shows up in jeans with takeout and says, "Eat, we'll work it out in the morning." 6 months later, my studio tripled. My team grew, and I learned that leadership is saying, "I don't know in time," to let smarter people answer. Damon texted, "Dinner tonight. Something important." He drove me out of the city at sunset, back to the vineyard, where a lie had told the truth. Fairy lights a table for two, the string quartet quietly tucking memory into the corners. He took my hands and said, "1 year ago, you told me to pretend, and it was the first real thing I'd felt in months." He knelt, opened a velvet box, and asked me to marry him. Not pretend, not convenient, not headline. Forever. I said yes because of everything between those 2 nights. Paint on his hands, the way he listens, the way he lets me lead the way. We both refuse to let the other disappear. Now here's where I want you involved, because this is where stories meet real life, and real life never sits still. Do you think power gaps make love unfair, even if both people are doing the work to keep it honest? Is it wrong that his company lent warehouse space and staff when my work burned, even though approvals were clean, costs tracked, ethics signed off? Do you think gatekeeping is just the ugly truth dressed in nice clothes? Or is it a habit we keep because it benefits the comfortable? If it were you, what would you have done? Walked away to avoid the noise, or stayed and built real guardrails around your hearts and your work? We made rules. If Blake Designs pitched Crosstech, he wasn't in the room. If a contract smelled like a conflict, we skipped it. If either of us felt the weight of the narrative, we said it out loud, before gossip could turn it into a story with teeth. Is that perfect? No. Is it honest? Yes. Sometimes love looks like a bridge you keep painting, because storms keep rolling through. Sometimes it looks like a man who will put his jacket on your shoulders before you realize you're cold. Sometimes it looks like a woman who took a lifetime to stop waiting for rescue and finally let someone stand beside her anyway. So here we are. A vineyard, a ring that catches the light, like a tiny blue ocean, the same song from the first night, only now, we don't have to pretend. I look at him and remember the glass breaking, the gossip swallowed whole, the paint on his face the first time he said my name without an audience. I also remember the bridesmaids and the whispers and how easy it is to reduce people to rumors when we're scared of our own loneliness. Do you think that's fair? Or do we owe each other better than that? I'll leave you with this, and then I want to hear you in the comments, loud and honest. People will tell you to know your place. Some of them mean well, some of them are protecting a system that kept them comfortable. I say this as a woman who learned to build a life out of leftovers. The only place you owe is the one you create for yourself, and the people you invite to stand there have to earn it, not buy it. Damon earned it, and I did too. Now it's your turn. Would you date across a power gap if the love felt real and the rules were clear, or is that a hard line for you? Did Vanessa speak a hard truth about class? Or did she just show us how ugly gatekeeping sounds when it thinks it can't be recorded? If you were me that night on the terrace, what would you have said? Tell me where you're watching from. Tell me your take. Tell me the time someone tried to make you small and you refused. If this story hit you in the ribs, share it with someone standing at the edge of their own dance floor tonight. And if you're that person, go on, walk across it. Say the sentence. See what it changes.